So, hello guys, welcome back to another Python tutorial video. So, I'm going to talk to you about logical operators today. So, we're going to go back to our program that we did, that we just did in the last video. So, I'm going to show you all the logical operators, okay? They're right here. Equals equals, less than equals, greater than equals, or exclamation point equals, and then there's and. So what these all mean is equals to. This one means less than or equals to. This means greater than or equals to. This just means or. This means not equals to. This one means and. So these are all going to be used in different ways. We've already used equals to, so it's going to go through an if statement saying if the answer is equal to 3, then return true, and then if this inside here is true, then run the code. So I'm just going to show you basically this program right here. So first things first, ignore this line and ignore this line. This is just importing a library, or don't ignore it, but you should look at it. It's importing a library called a random, and we're basically renaming it to a variable right here. And then we're using it. We're saying this variable is equal to the library dot, and then whatever. This is a function inside of the library, randint, and it basically is just setting this variable right here to a random number in between 0 and 100. So I'm going to show you what this does. So right here we're taking this input, taking a user input of a number between 0 and 100, and casting it to an integer to make life easy. And then we're comparing it to different numbers. So right here we're comparing it to random in these three, and this. So this is basically saying if the number is greater than the random number, then print that it was higher. Okay, that's pretty easy. If it's less than, then print that we are lower. If our number that we chose is equal to the random number, then it's going to print out you guessed the computer's number. If the number is greater than or equal 10, I'm going to just write this here because I wrote it wrong the first time. It'll print out your number was greater than or equal to 10. And then if the number is not 56, if it's any number other than 56, then it will write your number was not 56. So this if statement right here has two evaluations. One evaluation is of this, and one evaluation is of both of them. So the first evaluation is checking whether or not the number, or your number or the random number, is 65. It's saying if either of them is 65, it's going to return true. Now, then back here, it's going to say, okay, well, are the numbers equal? If so, then if the numbers are not equal, then it'll return true. So that'll mean if you or the computer choose 65, this will run, just like it says. Now, with AND statements, it pretty much has to be if it says false and false, then it'll assume false. But if it says true and true, then it'll assume it as true. So if this returns false and this returns false, then it'll say, okay, well, the whole thing is false, don't run the code. But if they're both true, that's the only situation where it's gonna run, and that means that's the only situation it'll be true. So if the random number does not equal your number, and if one of them is 65, then it'll run the code. Now, it's going to say right here, it would be, and then what's this right here? Why is this here? Why are we concatenating this? Well, basically what it's doing is it's saying that, it would be, and then this is going to print out what it returns. So if the random number is greater than or equal to 50, that's going to say true. So it's going to say, if we choose 51 or 50, for example, this is going to say it would be true. And then it's going to go on with this, and then it's going to say that the random number is greater than or equal to 50. Now let's just run this for a second. So I'm going to choose 51. Now, so pretty much we chose 51, and apparently that was higher than the random number. And our number was greater than or equal to 10. That's true. 51 is greater than or equal to 10. Our number was not 56. And you're right, it wasn't 56. And then it says it would be false to say that the random number was greater than or equal to 50. So we know that's true because we were higher than the random number. And if the number, it could have been 50, but we know it's not 50. We know it's either 49 or below because it says that it wasn't 50. So we know it wasn't greater than our number, which is 51, and we know that it's not 50 right here, so it's got to be 49 or below. So you can see that a lot can be told from from these if statements. We could just go through and check what the number is, but that's a lot easier to do if you have loops, which are going to be coming up in a couple of videos. But this is pretty much, these are pretty much logical operators in a nutshell. They work with booleans, so this is going to return a boolean, either true or false. This is going to return a boolean, either true or false. This right here is going to use these two, and it's also going to return a boolean, and then this is going to return a boolean. So, and I want to go through explaining or and another time. So or basically compares two, I think it compares either two booleans or two numbers, just to be if they're equal. So what this is basically doing is it's going to compare a true or false value. So it's going to compare whether or not this is true, and it's going to compare whether or not this is true. So if one of those are true, if either of the values that it's comparing is equal to true, either the booleans it's comparing is equal to true, then it's going to return true. So this whole thing is going to just turn into true if one of these is equal to true. And then it uses an AND statement. So an AND requires both of the values that it's comparing to be either true or false. They don't have to be either one, but they both have to be the same. So if they're both the same, if they're both true, they're both false, this whole AND statement, it's gonna assume what both types are. So if this is false and this is false, then it's going to be false, but if this is true and this is true, it'll return true. So the only real situation where it's going to return true if both of them are true. But if they're different from each other, if this one's false and this one's true, for example, or if this one is false and this one's true, then the whole thing is going to return false, and then this isn't going to run. So that's why we don't really see this too often, because unless we choose 65, you know, it's a 1 in 100 chance that the random number generator will choose 65. And then this thing won't run unless either one chose 65. So that's pretty much everything to know about logical operators. They're pretty easy to use. They're used in if statements mostly, and they're also used in loops, which are coming up in the next video, while loops. So they're pretty important, and I'd say they're pretty easy because you can basically just go through the whole thing and read it like a sentence. You know, if the number is equal to the random number, then use the print statement. It kind of flows really easily, and it's easy to understand. So the next video is going to be while loops. That's going to be very useful, and that's going to enable us to do a ton. Pretty much like everything you need to use in Python uses a while loop. A for loop is basically a counting while loop, so you could do everything in Python, I guess, with while loops only. It'd just be a lot more annoying, so you'd have to have a lot more variables and stuff, but that's a story for another time. So yeah, next video up is while loops. Thank you for watching. Buy my merch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.